I plan out a campaign for my list. So like, what is the daily stuff I do with my list so I can keep them engaged? So without further ado, think of it this way. You got 7 days. You got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now, typically, or at least with my list, and I've seen this pretty consistently in other niches, the highest open rate is going to be Tuesday. So I'll put a little star there. That's a awesome star. Oh my gosh, 4 years of art school and I draw stars like that. I don't know what to say. So Tuesdays are usually the best open rate. Wednesday's pretty good. Thursday's pretty good. Friday's all right. Saturday, Sunday, Mondays usually suck. Now, some niches it's different, but the reality is that people come in on Monday, they're going back to work and they're just overwhelmed with work. And then also on Friday, they're just kind of like checked out, right? But they're bored. So they'll be checking your stuff on Friday just because they're like, oh my gosh, this is the weekend yet. The weekend, usually they're not doing anything, but they're also not checking their emails, hopefully. So that means you've got pretty much these days as your sweet spot, and then Friday's kind of like a catch-up day. So the way I like to do this is I like to have a live on a Tuesday. So inside of our group, I stream a live event. It's usually like a 10, 15-minute training. It's not a lot of work. And I don't really prep. I'm an expert. So I just have a topic and I just go in and I start teaching about it, right? So I'm not spending hours and hours on course material or anything like that. So I do the live, which means Monday, I send an email saying, hey, everybody, tomorrow is a live in the group. If you're not a member of the group yet, here's your warning, get in. And then I have an email that goes out the day of that's like, hey, check out the live. And then I like to mix this up. I either have the end of Tuesday, I'll have a email that goes out and say, hey, you missed a live, here's a replay link. Otherwise, I'll do that on a Wednesday. But then usually Thursday and Friday, possibly Wednesday, I like to just add some value. So I like to write emails that are value based. And I've got up on my board, you can't see it, but I've got a great quote that I forget who, I think it was Caitlin Blanchard. I think that's her name. Great marketer. And I was paraphrasing what she was writing, but it was, when you're making content, you want to share the pain, the fear, and the struggle of you, right? So your audience, if you're like, hey, I'm perfect and everything's great and I'm so rich and powerful and all that, people are going to be like, I cannot relate to you. It's not relatable, even if it's true. Like a lot of people in this niche say they're that. I'm not claiming any of that. But a lot of people claiming they're that, and they're, the guys that have the picture with their rented car, that's my rented Maserati for the day or my rented private jet, right? That doesn't work. People can smell the BS a mile away, and you have to be super authentic. So that means people need you to open up and expose yourself. So you have to share your pain. What struggles did you have that got you to where you are now? And then what struggles are you having now? What's your fear of that? What's your, you get the idea. You got to let people into your heart and your soul and really have the honest, truthful conversations that they're about the things that they're struggling with. So it's really, really, really important. If you want to whitewash yourself, it's just going to come off as inauthentic and people are not going to relate to you. So the people, the influencers there's different kinds of influencers. I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but you got like the sexy people where people are just following because they're hot and that's fine. But the real influencers, right? People that actually have something to say, the thought leaders, they're going out of their way to teach, but more importantly, they're going out of their way to do mindset stuff, to really talk about personal development, how they overcame their challenges. That's what ultimately motivates people. If you spend most of your time just teaching how-to stuff, people are going to Google it and find a little bit of value, but you're not going to grow a tribe. You're going to grow a tribe when you're really letting people into your world. It's almost like a soap opera. You got to let people into your world. So on that note, we want to have these emails in particular, we want to have them not be as transactional as these are transactional. It's like, hey, I've got a training tomorrow and this is selling them on showing up to the training. So let me just be clear on that. This is the call to action is show up tomorrow for the live training about this topic or the pre-recorded training on this topic. The second day, Tuesday, is just about selling them to go into the group to watch the training. Right? Really simple. Same with the replay. Just consume the content. Wednesday can be some sort of follow-up. So if people are you doing that streaming and people are leaving comments or having questions, and you can use that opportunity to just write, hey, Bob asked this question, here's my reply, right? So it creates some engagement with people. But then Thursday, Friday, just share a story about yourself. Now, you can have a soft call to action, like, hey, if this, if you have any questions about this, hit reply. Usually like having people reply is really good. So what's working really well in marketing now, a couple years ago, it was like just send them somewhere, right? But what's working really now, especially if you've got like a virtual assistant or you've got the time to do this, is design your content for people to be engaged with it, to reply to you or to leave a comment, and then have the time on your calendar to go back and engage with those people. Now, for me, I've got a setter. So I've got a team of people, setters. So they're doing that for me. And then if they can't answer a question, they send it over to me. So I am looking at all that stuff, but I'm not sitting there spending all of my day replying to people because then I couldn't help my clients. So you got to kind of like weigh things. And obviously if you're bootstrapping or just kickstarting your brand, you're going to have to do this all yourself, and you should do it all yourself because you need to understand how these things work. But I digress. So Thursday, Friday, you want to have more story-based emails that are sharing your fear, your pain, and your struggle, so your audience gets to know, like, and trust you. And you can have a very soft call to action to book a call with you, or if you've got a low price program, or even better, some free thing, right? So you don't always want to be promoting stuff. You want to be giving 80% value, and then 20% of the time you want to ask for some sort of transactional, they book a call or they buy something with you. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, what I do personally with Saturday and Sunday is I've got pre-written case study emails, and I just have those go out Saturday and Sunday because I know my open rates on those days isn't great. So I'd rather just have some assets that I can just keep in circulation. So I use ActiveCampaign, and people get through the emails, and at the very end, it just cycles through unless they become a buyer. If at any point they become a buyer, they're off that list. But otherwise, that content just keeps going Saturday and Sunday. So I don't have to worry about it because I got kids. Saturday and Sunday, I want to be hanging out with the kids. I'm not going, oh my gosh, I got to send an email. So that's how that's all going to work. Now, let me now walk you through how I plan this out. So this is going to be just a typical week of emails. So I've got I'll make a Google Doc, and I'll just write email number 1, and I'll put when I'm going to send it, put the date. So it's stupid simple for me. Even though I'm doing this, I'll forget like when is this supposed to go out? And also I want to save all of my content, and then down the road I can rinse and repeat. So I put what the topic is, and I put what the call to action is, because it's really important, guys, that your emails have one call to action. You can't be like, hey, watch the training in the group and book a call with me and follow me on Instagram and do this and do that. People are like, ugh. Like, have them do one thing. Everything should be designed to funnel them into doing that one action. So once I'm very clear on the top level strategy, I'll write a subject line, and usually for me, I'll do 2. So I use ActiveCampaign, which is a little more advanced. My Visionary Planner students that are kickstarting, I have them build all their emails in Kajabi because it's really simple. But when you get to the expand phase and you're going to be putting some serious money, like I'm spending 15 grand a month on ads, right? And that's low. It should be like 30, 40, 50. Some people are spending like 100 grand a month on ads. So when you're at that level, you want to have really solid tracking, but you also, with your emails, you want to have functionality where you can see open rates, you can see reply rates, you can split test. So I use ActiveCampaign where I can split test the subject lines. And what I'll do is I'll set my email to go out that day. And I'll just use the split test function, and I'll say at noon, I always send my stuff at noon. So I'll say at noon, send 10% of my list subject A and 10% of my list subject B. And then at 1 o'clock, send whatever A or B got the most opens and engagement. Really, in this case, it's opened. Whatever got the most opens, send the remaining 80% of my list, send them the winning subject line. Because the name of the game is getting them to open your email. If they don't open it, they're not going to read it and take that action. So split testing is really great. Again, it's more advanced. If you're like, how do I do that? If you're not, you're not advanced, don't worry about it. But I'm just kind of letting you know behind the scenes how that all works. So I'll have my first email, I'll have my subject line, and then I'll write the copy. And I'll get into the copy in a second so I can kind of walk you through this. But you can see I've got email 2 lined up, basic stuff, email 3. Now some emails are very, very short. Some emails are a little bit longer. And then I've got email 4, which goes more into storytelling, fear, struggle, pain, and all that. So let me walk you through. Again, this is just a typical week campaign. Nothing special is going on this week as I'm writing this. I'm just doing my normal live into the group. Nothing fancy. The week after this, though, I'm going to be doing some live free workshops. So that's going to be a much more robust. So you can see up here it says masterclass. And that means this week, so again, behind the scenes, This week, the week before my masterclass, I'm setting up the topic. I'm planting seeds in people's minds about what the masterclass is going to be about, so that I can kind of pre-indoctrinate them and pre-frame it. And then the following week when I have the masterclass, I can be like, hey, last week we were talking about this, and now I'm going to go deeper in that, jump on my free training. Make sense? Okay, so let me walk you through these emails. Subject A, I can't believe I just did this, and I'll come up with subject B in a minute. We'll just do that live. Happy Monday, first name. I like people to know, like, this isn't just some autoresponder. Right now, first name, that is a, I've got thousands of people on my list. I'm not going to go and personally write each person their name. So this is just called a short code, and whatever their name is in the contact record, their first name, it's going to replace it. So if the guy's name is Bob, let's say, Happy Monday, Bob. If it's Sally, Happy Monday, Sally. For the last 5 months, I procrastinated on getting my taxes done. Thankfully, my tax guy, Felix, filed that extension. So what am I doing here? I'm baking in storytelling. I'm putting real tangible facts, so it feels like I'm a real person and I'm not just doing some marketing shenanigans. And also, when you're using names and you're painting pictures in people's minds, it starts to become real for them. And if it's not real, if it's not believable, they're not going to pay attention. This is something I learned in the movie industry. The movies that you love the most, unless they're super stylized, is because there's some sort of, we call it in the industry, verisimilitude. There's some believability to that. And if you got this movie where everyone's acting like this and it's like super cheesy and hokey, unless you're a little kid, you're like, this is crap. I don't resonate with it. So you want to make sure that your emails are really authentic and you're using names. I could say, hey, luckily my accountant filed that extension, but I specifically said my tax guy, Felix. So you can kind of imagine, oh, what does Felix look like, right? So it's conjuring up images in your mind that are going to make you engage. Now, the whole point of anything you're doing with marketing is to capture attention and keep the attention. That's it. Think of marketing as a hook. You're throwing that out and you want to catch the biggest fish and keep that fish biting that, right? You don't want them to let go and swim away. You want to capture the fish. So marketing is all about creativity, like being creative so you capture the attention. Now, let me get back to this. You see, it took me ages to finally get around to it, to finally my taxes, because my son Max was born in January as a preemie and my wife and 2 kids need 110% of my time. They still do. My business is scaling at a rapid pace. Raging fires get put out before small ones. As a creative, I hate dealing with taxes. So I'm letting you into my life and you're going, oh, I didn't know Mike has 3 kids. Oh, wow, he had a preemie. Oh, I didn't know he's scaling his business. Okay. Oh, I'm creative. Mike's creative. I'm creative. I can relate to that. Oh, I hate taxes too. So hopefully this gets you to know, like, and trust me. Getting back to the copy. So I finally sat down to do them, my taxes. And lo and behold, they took a whopping 47 minutes. Isn't it great when you're organized? Because I was like, oh my gosh, my taxes are going to take me days and days. And it was like 47 minutes because I was organized. Lesson learned. Put in the time to build a foundation. And then annoying stuff is super easy. So see what I'm doing? I'm setting an idea like, oh, I need a foundation. What's a foundation for my business? I want to know. Now you're curious. On that note, tomorrow I'll be going live in our Facebook group to discuss your foundation. So far, it's been about me, and now nobody cares about me. You don't care about me. You care about you, right? So the reader cares about them. They're like, okay, I'm going to humor Mike and read about him, but I really want to know what's in it for me. And now I'm going to switch back to them. Just like, so the value is I'm going to go live tomorrow to give them value about them. Just like taxes have a deadline, so does the time to launch your brand. Hint, there's only a few weeks left before you miss the boat. To launch, you need a foundation. Tomorrow, I'll define that. So now you're like, oh my gosh, what's happening in a couple of weeks? When am I going to miss? What? Hopefully this makes you curious. Hopefully I've injected scarcity and urgency. So you're like, oh my gosh, I gotta check it out. So the urgency is like tomorrow is a live thing, and scarcity is I'm going to miss it. If I don't get in there, I'm going to miss it. It's a limited time window. So join our Facebook group to learn more. I got a hyperlink to that. Already in our Facebook group, then set a reminder to join us live at noon Eastern tomorrow. Now, let me just go over this link real quick. You can kind of see that's not a Facebook link. What that is I use a tool called Jot URL. It shortens the URL and it lets me track clicks. So I know for this particular email campaign, I can see how many clicked. Maybe nobody clicks. I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe my emails suck. Or wow, five out of the 50 people that opened this particular email clicked. Okay, that's pretty solid, right? So you want to always have tracking in place. I think it was Peter Drucker, who's a great management thought leader. He said, if it can't, I'm paraphrasing, but what can't be measured can't be improved. I put my name, Mike. And then as a PS, I brainstormed over the weekend and thought, what am I as a branding expert? So this is where I just put some personality because I don't want people to feel I'm selling them anything because I'm not. So I just want to have kind of a casual a relationship with them. As a branding expert, I'm always trying to refine my messaging. I came up with branding expert plus branding engineer equals brangineer, my funny play off Imagineering. If you don't know, I used to work for Disney and Imagineering. My first job, industry job, was animating the robots at Disneyland. So I'm an Imagineer at heart. And I thought, wow, I'm kind of a brand engineer for small business owners. It's pretty cool. So I'm just putting this in here. Hit reply and let me know if you dig this or if it sucks worse than my 5-year-old protesting daycare. Again, I'm putting more of my life into this. My 5-year-old hates going to daycare. He literally protests. So, and that little crazy emoji. I love putting emojis in because people are emotional, and the more you can make them feel emotions in any of your marketing, the better. So that's email 1. Very story-based. There's a simple call to action, but nothing for sale. So you're like, okay, value. Email 2, when? Tuesday, topic, live today, call to action to in the group, subject, busy, and 5. Happy Tuesday. As mentioned yesterday, because I want to make it feel like there's a logical flow to me messaging people daily. As mentioned yesterday, I'm going live now inside our Facebook group right now. I'll probably take right now that I'm reading it. You see, there are 3 main buying, so this is the core idea. There's 3 main buying periods to sell your stuff, and the main one is fast approaching. I don't want you to miss out on your cut of the $20 billion coaching industry. So click the link to join me live. And then the link is find out what the 3 buying periods are. Again, it's curiosity based. Like, oh yeah, I want to find out. They're going to click, hopefully go into the group. Hurry, we're starting in 5. Now I programmed this to go out 5 minutes before the live is streaming. So there you go. I promise you won't want to miss this. Mike PS, not a member of the group yet. Request access and we'll let you in. Now this specifically is there because it's redundancy. If someone's like, oh, where's the video? I'm not in the group. I just want to let them know, hey, request access. Now the next day, Wednesday, the topic is getting the replay, and I want this to be a 2-step. So I don't want to send them the link. I want them to, if you're on my list, you'll see what I'm doing now, kind of behind the scenes. But if you want the replay, just reply, and then my team can send it to you, and also just see, where you're at with your business, and if you've got any struggles that we might be able to help you with, and hopefully we can get you on a call, and hopefully you'll enroll in the Visionary Planner. But if not, at least you'll be on the call, and you'll get some great advice and coaching on what you can do to hit your goals. So here's that email. Did you miss it? Subject line. Yesterday, I shared the 3 most lucrative buying periods for selling coaching, consulting, and services. Now, just FYI, the word lucrative might flag a spam thing. So I'm going to take this email. When I program it in, it'll say the spam score. And if it says don't use the word lucrative, I might change that to the word successful, or I don't want to use profitable. So successful, or some other adjective like that. So there are certain words that are going to get flagged. Also, like if I was running this as an ad on Facebook, I would never say lucrative or profitable or income, anything like that. It gets you flagged. I also mapped out a simple strategy to be ready to launch before you miss this window. Hint, there's not much time left. Want the replay? Just hit reply and I'll send you the link over, right? So really simple. You always want to make the call to action dead simple. So they're not like, what do I have to do? You tell them exactly. Just hit reply. And then what happens after I hit reply? I'll send you the link. Simple. Spell it out for people. I know people are busy and you just got to make it like stupid simple for them. Let me have some tea in my lovely branded cup. Hold on, guys. Okay, email 4. Topic, regret for not being able to capitalize on opportunity. That's not the best subject line. I'll probably, that's the topic. Subject line, my biggest regret. So that's the A. The B that I'm going to split test. What is the Google phenomenon? So right away, which of those subject lines are you like, oh, I'm most curious to read about? I don't know. I'll do a split test and find out. Okay, here's the copy. Now, full transparency, I just wrote it. I haven't proofread it yet because I wanted you to see me go through it, and then I'll write the next email live, and then that'll be the end of the video. So we got about 10 more minutes left of this training. Okay. Wouldn't it be great if you could hop in your time machine and tap into an opportunity you knew you should have tapped into? You knew you should have just I like to read it out loud because if there's any funny stuff, I can hear it. For me, that was back in 2016. Back then, Facebook ads were super cheap, and I was still too focused on figuring out all the bells and whistles that go into having a successful brand. I'm going to say building. I'm going to say creating a successful brand. You see, the top thought leaders out there are experts in one narrow topic. I don't like big chunks of sentences, so I'm going to break that up. ... I call this the Google phenomenon. This is where you own a top search phrase. For example, if you're doing life coaching, that's too broad. Instead, you want to narrow it down on a sub-problem in life coaching like high performance or finding more gratitude. Once you narrow your niche, you'd go out of your way to be seen as the expert in that. If your narrow niche is still too competitive, then you narrow more. High performance for C-suite execs at Fortune 500 companies. By doing this, you get known for one thing, and assuming there's a deep enough well of prospects, at least 5,000, you can start to be the big fish in that little pond. Makes sense. Now, this is called a trial close. I like to always ask, like, is that cool? Sound good? All clear? I like to have little short things like that because it gets I call it the silent nod. So the readers in their mind are like, yeah, it makes sense, right? You want to get them always agreeing with you because that little check-in kind of refreshes their, kind of palate cleanse, and it gets them to digest the information you just said, and then it cleans it out so they can start to process the next idea that's coming. So for me, back in 2016, I was still too broad and hadn't figured out my message to market match. If only I could go back and capitalize on that opportunity. And I'll put like a fun thing. Hello, time machine. Right, a little throwback to earlier in the email. Nowadays, Facebook ads are super expensive. The market is turning to other options like TikTok, appointment setters, and influencer marketing. I'm going to make that super clear, TikTok ads. So going back to yesterday, I did a training on the 3 best time slots to sell your coaching or service. If you missed that post, click here to check it out in the group. I don't want you to miss the boat as the next main buying period is right around the corner. Get busy, Mike. So what I'm doing here is I made the content. And by the way, this is a 15-minute stream, so it was not a lot of time for me. And I want to make sure now that I milk that content as much as possible, and I make sure everyone on my list is checking it out. So remember the day before, I'm like, hey, if you want the replay, reply. And I assume the people that really wanted the replay would have replied. And now there are other people that are shy and they're not going to. So I'm just going to say, hey, here's a link to it, right? At the end of the day, people are going and they're joining the group. And then I got my team inside the group chatting with people. So I don't care if they reply or they join the group, it doesn't really matter to me as long as they're taking action. So I want to hit that. I want to give them different calls to action that lead to the end result, which for me is getting somebody on a call so we can see if we can help them. And if not, we're more than happy to point them in the right direction. Okay, that leads me to the Friday email, Friday, August 11th at noon. The topic, fear of failure, not setting up for success. So I'm going to do subject A and subject B. Let me just have a little ADD for a minute. Humor me, guys. I want to go back because I said before, I already sent that email, so I'm not going to worry about the subject line. Okay, going back. All right, just trying to make the second subject line. Okay, I'm going to worry about the subject line in a minute. I like to come back to that. So I want to talk about fear of failure and not setting things up properly for success. The main idea is there's 3 different buying periods. So let me just see this. So I want to think about where's my market right now? Where's my audience? When you're in the kickstart phase of your business, it can be super scary and high risk, right? Scary because you're not fully confident in what you're offering or what you're offering, and high risk because you have limited time and money, and one false move can cause the whole house of cards to crumble. As for instance, now again, I want to talk about my fears, my struggles, so people can know, like, and trust me. So as for me, I wish I could say that I've magically figured it all out, but the reality is that no matter where you're at in your business, it's never easy. It's always a crap ton of blood, sweat, and tears. That's why whenever an opportunity arises, you need a foundation so you can capitalize on it. if you don't yet have a high converting offer that's giving you your dream lifestyle, then you've got just a few weeks to tap into the next big buying period where experts sell billions of dollars in programs, services, and coaching, right? So I know what you guys are struggling with. I'm talking about my struggles. I'm not talking too much about myself. I'm just saying, hey, I'm giving you enough where you're like, okay, I can relate to Mike. But ultimately, I want to give you some value in this. So I'm thinking now, what would the reader be thinking? So how exactly do you tap into this upcoming opportunity? The mailman's here and the dog is very excited. So I pause the video. Okay. Simple. You need great marketing and a killer offer. Now my audience is a lot of women, so I'm going to say killer offer and a irresistible offer. So if I was marketing to dudes, I could say killer, but I'm not going to do it. I know. I respect you, ladies. Okay, you need great marketing and an irresistible offer, and you can map that out in just a few weeks if you've got a proven process to follow. On that note, if you want to see my process, then click here to speak to my team on a quick chat. And then what's going to happen on the chat? I got to tell the chat. We'll hear your goals and help carve out an action plan. Then if you need help implementing, we can tell you about the planner and our levels of engagement. Sound good? Remember the trial list? Sound good? All right, so that's it. So I'll say happy. That's it. Have a great weekend and have a great weekend. Mike. Pretty simple, right? Not rocket science. So now let me go and read it. When you're in the kickstart phase of your business, it can be super scary and high risk. Scary. I'll make these bullets, so I'm kind of capping those ideas. Scary because you're not fully confident in what you're offering, and high risk because you have limited time and money, and one false move can cause the whole house of cards to crumble. As for me, I wish I could say I've magically figured it all out, but the reality is that no matter where you're at in your business, it's never easy. It's always a I don't know what I wrote there, craption. It's always a crap ton. Okay, yeah. It's always a bunch of blood, sweat, and tears. It always requires. It's never easy. I'm just keeping it simple. It's never easy. Editing is your friend. That's why whenever an opportunity arises, you need a foundation. You need a solid foundation so you can capitalize on it. If you don't yet have a high converting offer that's giving you your dream lifestyle, then you've got just weeks to tap into the next big buying period where experts sell billions of dollars in programs, coaching, and services. So how exactly do you tap into this upcoming opportunity? Simple. See, I like to have big sentences and then little tiny, so not everything looks like it's the same. We want to pull the eye through the email. You need great marketing and an irresistible offer. And you can map that out in just a few weeks if you've got a proven process to follow. On that note, if you want to see my process, then click here to speak to my team on a quick chat. We'll hear your goals and help carve out an action plan. Then if you need help implementing, we can tell you about the planner and our levels of engagement. Sound good? That's it. Have a great weekend. Mike. Pretty simple. So there you go, guys. This whole thing, if I wasn't making a video and talking to you, this whole thing would take me about 20, 30 minutes max to write the emails, program them out, and then I've got all my marketing for the week done. Now, if I want to be super ninja about this and leverage it, then I'm going to take these exact emails, I'm going to modify them a little bit so that they're 2 steps. So instead of saying, hey, click here or do this, I'll be like, hey, if you want to speak to my team, just hit yes or type yes in the comments, and we'll reach out so that my setters inside the group can go and actually build relationships. The reality is that you want to build relationships with people. You don't want to be talking to them. You want to be having a conversation with them. And that's where having calls to action that are 2-step, where you're saying, hey, if you're interested, let me know, and then I'll send you something. That just initiates a conversation and builds relationships with people. So it's really, really critical. So going back to that, I would take this, and I'm going to, and take it, modify it, put it in the group, schedule it to go out, and then also go into my ActiveCampaign, schedule it to go out, set up the split test and all that. And then finally, I've got my live content that's going out in the group also. So if you're in the group, there's a couple of posts happening, there's the video happening. It's like, and it doesn't take me more than 2 hours a week to do that. So there you guys go. There's the system. And if you have any questions, just drop a comment. Otherwise, there you go. All right. Peace.